The Bloomberg terminal, accessed only by over 325,000 marquee investors across the world until now.
Just business news, we're news for business people.
The New Year celebrations are dying down and it's time to get back to work and hit the ground running. Good morning, you're watching DayBreak on Bloomberg Quint Live and I'm Alex Matthew. First, the headlines. Asian markets start 2018 on a cautious note as investors return to their trading desks after a long weekend. Core sector growth hits a 13-month high of 6.8% in India in November. Rise in cement and steel output drives growth higher. A McDonald's franchisee, retailer Lifestyle India, and a Honda car dealer are amongst those who have received anti-profiteering notices for allegedly not sharing the benefits of lower GST tax with consumers. Salil Parekh is all set to take charge at Infosys today. The former Capgemini executive board member gets a 5-year term as the MD and CEO of the company. And Donald Trump targets Pakistan in his first tweet of 2018, says all US got for the aid it provided are lies and deceit. Turning to the Asian markets first, let's go live to Bloomberg's Rosalind Chin in Hong Kong for a sense of what to look for today. Morning, Rosalind, and Happy New Year from everyone here at Bloomberg Quint.
Happy New Year to you too. Well, looks like things are a little bit subdued here in Asia, at least when it comes to the markets, as things really slowly sort of get back into gear, I would say, because we still have several markets closed. So we're looking at New Zealand, that is closed, the Philippines, Thailand also closed, and also Japan. Japan, in fact, closed until Thursday. So looking at the markets that are open, we have South Korea. Now, that had a slightly delayed start today. That opened just about half an hour ago. And right now, that is trading just about flat, just dipping into the red a little bit. We have, of course, Hong Kong and the Shanghai Composite coming online right now. Now, if we look at South Korea, for example, that's one of the interesting markets at the moment because, you know, we saw Kim Jong-un deliver his New Year message and offering, in some ways, a hand out to South Korea, saying, hey, we should talk, and geopolitical events really sort of dominating what has been going on over the North-South relationship in the last few months, and of course this as well. Now, we also have Kim Jong-un saying that they're considering sending a delegation to the Pyeongchang Olympics, which are coming up, the Winter Olympics, which are coming up as well. So these interesting movements here and happening in South Korea. On the corporate front, we have Hyundai. Now, Hyundai predicts a slowdown in sales this year, saying 2017 was a hard year, and that's partly due to a slump in sales in China. And it has forecast a lower target for 2018, saying that it sees 7.55 million vehicles being sold in 2018. Now, in 2017, it did set a record of 8.25 million vehicles sales, but we don't know exactly how many they did sell in 2017. That number will be released later today. So waiting for those numbers from Hyundai, but of course that lower forecast for 2018 is affecting its stock. It's down 2.8% right now. Now, we're also looking at Singapore. Singapore, one of the markets open today. The Straits Times Index is up about just over about a quarter of 1% right now. Now, its economy seems to be roaring ahead. Its latest figures show the fourth quarter GDP grew faster than economists forecast, rising 2.8% on a seasonally adjusted and also annualized rate. And economists surveyed by Bloomberg had predicted a rise of just 1.6%, so really busting right through that. Now, the central bank and the government forecasts 1.5% to 3.5% growth this year, so that's quite a wide margin there, 1.5 to 3.5. It says the improving economy, though, does hint at higher taxes possibly coming this year, and also monetary tightening, a possibility that could also be on the horizon. So those two things to watch out for in Singapore. And here in Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index gaining about 1% right now, and stocks, gaming stocks, for example, Win Macau there, taking a bit of a hit on the fact that revenue for gaming rose 14.6% in December against estimates of more than 20% increase.
Right. Thanks so much for that, Rosalind. Let's turn now to the Indian market, and Darshan Mehta and Agam Vakil are here to set you up for the day's trade and to tell you all that's happened in the futures and options space. Darshan, first to you, good morning. What's on your list today?
Good morning, Alex. If you're looking at it, not enough cues that are coming in globally because most of the global markets are shut. Japan is also shut on account of holiday, but the SGX Nifty is indicating the downtick probably will continue, but we might stay above the 10,500 mark in trade. So that's the cue that's coming in on the SGX Nifty. The ADRs also, we're not getting any cues because the US markets were shut on account of New Year holiday. As far as crude is concerned, crude has opened lower post the two-day rally that we saw, but WTI continues to trade above the $60 barrel per mark and had gained almost 3% last week. So there was a lot of traction that's coming in on the queue. Metals on the LME did not trade on account of New Year, but the first trade that are coming in from Shanghai and the COMEX copper from Shanghai positive. COMEX copper is trading slightly lower by 0.5%, but iron ore is up almost 2%. I just checked right now, rubber, aluminium, both of them are trading up close to 1%. So cues that are coming in from China are positive. Gold closed with gains of almost for the 8th straight trading session. So there was traction that was seen as far as gold is concerned. FI has bought in almost 325 crores in the cash market, but the DIS sell number was something that you need to watch out for, a 1300 crore net sell figure by the DIs on the stock market. So that is something that you need to watch out for. What did well? Nifty Realty and the small cap index, they were the only two indices that traded with a positive bias. Most of the other indices were down in trade. The VIX also moved up by 5%, given the fact that the markets tanked by 100 points. The two indices which fell the most, Nifty Auto as well as Nifty Bank, down close to 1% each. Now the Nifty was down almost 95 points. What contributed to the fall? Mainly the heavyweights. HDFC Bank contributed almost 20 points fall. Reliance another 10 points and TCS another 7 points. So majority came in from the heavyweights. Hardly any kind of gainers or contributors on the positive side. But Agam, what are the FNOQs indicating?
Sure. So we saw some weakness on the Nifty yesterday, and which means that there were some shorts building up in the system, along with some unwinding coming along. So longs and wound as far as the Nifty future is concerned. Moving on to the Nifty Bank as well, where we are looking at about near 8% addition towards open interest as the index moved down further. So shorts building in there. When it comes to the India Volatility Index, that's moved up even further, now firmly above the mark of 13, up as much as 5.4%. And we have seen a little bit of a fall when it comes to the Nifty put call ratio, now standing at around 1.56 as against 1.61. But in terms of changes in open interest, as you can see, there is a lot going on, a lot of activity going on in the wider, far or further off options. So 10,100 seen a lot more writing. That's the 10,100 put, and a little more writing coming along 10,600 and 10,500. In terms of stocks, Reliance Communication enters the ban. And other than that, we also have something like a Reliance Naval, which has seen fresh longs. It saw a substantial move of as much as nearly 32% in open interest. So these are some of the stocks that we'll be watching out for as we move into today's day of trade.
Thanks so much for that, Agam. Let's move on now to a check on the rupee and the bond market. Saloni Dhanuka has all the updates on those two markets. Saloni, morning.
Good morning, Alex. So the rupee started the new year on a highly bullish note, and it ended at a fresh 5-month high yesterday at 63.68 levels against the dollar. Now the home currency continued its winning run for the third consecutive session. Now remember, rupee has appreciated by a good 47 paise in the last 3 trading sessions. While dollar unwinding by banks along with exporters selling due to extremely bearish dollar sentiment markets overseas largely supported the rupee's big move yesterday. Elsewhere, India's foreign exchange reserves jumped by $3.5 billion to touch a new lifetime high of $404.9 billion for the week ended 22nd December. Elsewhere, most of the global markets were closed yesterday due to New Year holidays, while dollar index now trades steady near 92.20 levels in the early Asian trade. The index slipped approximately 9.3% last year, its lowest level since 2003. While coming back home, dollar rupee is trading weaker by 18 paise at 63.86 levels against the dollar in the non-deliverable forward market, which indicates a weaker opening for Indian rupee in today's trade. While moving on to debt market, bonds rose for the second consecutive day yesterday on expectations that government will announce new benchmark 10-year security for this week's sale, and hence yields ended steady near 7.34%. While global funds decreased their rupee debt holdings yesterday, they reduced their portfolio by approximately 60 crores according to NSDL data, Alex.
Right. We'll leave it at that, Saloni. Thanks so much for joining us. But moving on to the story on GST, a McDonald's franchisee, retailer Lifestyle India, and a Honda car dealer amongst the first 5 entities in India to receive GST anti-profiteering notices. Consumers have accused them of not passing on the benefits of lower GST rates. Nikunj Jory filed this report on what's likely to happen next.
In case of Hardcastle Restaurants Private Limited, the company that operates McDonald's outlets in South and West India, complaints have been received that the GST rate reduction that came into effect from November 16 was actually not passed on to consumers, and there were 2 complaints received wherein individuals have said that the price of cafe latte was unchanged even when the GST on restaurants as a whole was cut from 18% to 5%. In case of Lifestyle International Private Limited, a complaint was received alleging that the company has not passed on the reduction in a GST rate of a specific makeup product on which GST rate was lowered from 28% to 18%. In case of a dealer that deals in Honda cars, a complaint has been received that some part of pre-GST levies like excise, central sales tax and VAT were included in the price of that particular model of Honda cars, and GST was levied over and above it, in turn inflating the price of that model of Honda. In case of a dealer that deals in products of Hindustan Unilever, a complaint was received that the price of a Vaseline body lotion was not lowered even after the GST rate was lowered from 28% to 18%, and that rate reduction came into effect from November 15. In case of a construction company, Pyramid Infratech Private Limited, complaints have been received by 36 home buyers who have alleged that the construction company has not passed on the benefit of input tax credit to consumers. Now, all these companies have been given time in which they have to respond whether they were actually profiteering after the implementation of GST and not passing on the benefit of GST and input tax credit which these companies get to consumers, and they have to calculate the amount that they have profiteered and mention that in their responses along with copies of the balance sheet returns filed during the period.
Right, moving on to an update on the state of the economy. Core sector growth rose to a 13-month high of 6.8% in November from 5% in October. A sharp rise in cement and steel output contributed to the pickup in growth. Just reading the major line items out to you, cement output and steel production both grew by around 17%. Coal output declined marginally while refinery production rose a little over 8%. Crude oil output and electricity output rose marginally. Natural gas and fertilizers showed a growth of 2.4% and 0.3% respectively. Right, let's shift focus now to the commodities space, and Jayesh Khilnani joins us with all the updates there. Morning, Jayesh.
Morning, Alex. Let me start off with crude oil prices, which have actually opened marginally lower in Asian hours. So WTI is still trading above the 60 mark. However, this is on the back of the Libyan pipeline, which was damaged on December 26. That has been repaired, and flows have restarted from that pipeline. So that's the positive coming in for oil prices. We didn't get any, the base metal prices from LME on account of holiday. However, on the Shanghai Futures Exchange, most of these base metals are trading with a positive bias. So tin and nickel, for example, are trading more than 1% higher. Aluminium and zinc have actually extended the gain to 4 days in a row now. Copper, on the other hand, has snapped its 16-day winning streak and currently trading lower by 0.2%. Steel, on the other hand, has actually gained about 0.2 to 0.3%. Moving on to the precious metal space, gold has actually opened soft in Asian hours, trading lower by about just 0.1%. But the positive is that it's still trading above the 1300 mark, so that's a psychological, positive coming in. Silver, on the other hand, has snapped its 5-day winning streak and currently trading down about 0.5%.
Thanks, Jayesh, for that. Let's move on to the stock of the news now. Bajaj Hindustan has successfully implemented the S4A scheme. That's the restructuring scheme, debt restructuring scheme. Here's Nikki Mirchandani with more details on that.
Hi Alex, Bajaj Hindustan is clearly the stock of the day today. It has, as you just mentioned, has successfully implemented the S4A scheme. According to the scheme, the debt is divided into two parts, that's sustainable and unsustainable. Sustainable portion is around 4,789 crore, while unsustainable portion is around 3,495 crore. The total debt is to the tune of 8,285 odd crore. Now what the company has done is, typically the unsustainable debt has been broken into two parts, where 3,483 crore of the debt is converted into OCDs. That's the other convertible debentures, and these have a coupon rate from the range of 0.01 to 0.25%, which have been given to the JLF lenders. And the redemption of these OCDs will be happening in 13 installments rate, and the other remaining part of the 12 crore of your total unsustainable debt, that has been adjusted for consideration of payment of installment, because the lenders apparently have acquired 10.59% stake of the promoter's shareholding. Now with this, the promoter shareholding comes down to 15.4%. As per the shareholding pattern that was back on September 2017, promoter shareholding stood at 26%, public at 74%, and others was 0.16%. To just give you a rundown about what the company is, it's a sugar producer that we're talking about, and has a market capitalization of around 1,825 odd crore. The stock is trading at a multiple of less than 1 of its book value, which also is a sign of the ongoing trouble that the company had seen in the past. Lower ROE is also something, and promoters have also pledged 100% of their stake.
Thanks, Nikki, for that update. Let's move on to the big brokerage calls of the day. Soumya Sarkar has all of those for you.
Good morning, Alex. On the big brokerages, first we have is Angel Broking on Capital First. Now they have initiated coverage on the stock with a buy rating and a target price of 850. Now according to the brokerage, change in ownership and management in 2012 has brought new life to the company. Going forward, strong capital adequacy and pickup in retail credit would ensure loan growth for the company, while favorable loan mix with expansion in net interest margin would drive earnings. Now the brokerage is expecting the company's asset under management and earnings to grow at a compounded annual growth rate of 23% and 32% over FY17 to FY20. The brokerage is also expecting the loan growth to be around 24% over the same period. And with formalization of the Indian economy and increasing number of medium and small enterprises coming under this, it will open up new opportunities for Capital First, according to Angel Broking. Now, the company has also diversified into housing finance, which is small but has a huge potential, according to the brokerage. Now, reducing share of bank borrowings would also lower the cost of funds, according to Angel Broking. Now, management is expecting to bring down the bank borrowings to the fund cost to around 40% by FY19 versus 58% in financial year 2017. Lastly, the brokerage says that the stock is poised for re-rating with improving return ratios. Second, we have a CLSA on Mahindra & Mahindra. Now, they have maintained their buy rating but have raised the target price to 910 from 885. Now, according to the brokerage, volumes and earnings growth has been improving and valuations look cheap when it comes to Mahindra & Mahindra. Now, tractors and LCV forms around 70 to 75% of its EBIT, and companies set to benefit from the healthy demands in tractor and a cyclical recovery in LCVs. Now they're expecting volumes and EPS to grow at a compounded annual growth rate of 10% and 14% over FY17 to FY20. On the SUV segment, which has been weak, the brokerage says that the volumes have bottomed out, and when it comes to the MPV segment, upcoming launches would be a key trigger and should boost growth going forward. CLS is also positive on rural India, which would boost the growth for M&M given the rise in government spending and the upcoming general elections in 2019. Lastly, M&M says that CLSA says that M&M is the top buy in Indian autos for 2018.
Right. Thanks so much for that, Somit. Let's move on now. And Salil Parekh takes over as the Infosys MD and CEO today. The former Capgemini board member will be the 6th person to hold that position at Infosys. He's also the second non-Infosian to be brought in to head the company after his predecessor Vishal Sikka stepped down 3 years after taking over. Agam Vakil is here to tell us what industry veterans had to say about Parekh and the challenges that he faces at Infosys.
Sure, Alex. Let me start off with the fact that Salil Parekh has been appointed for 5 years as CEO and MD, and he was the group executive board member of Capgemini. He was also, the chairman of North America Executive Council at Capgemini. But with respect to what some of the people of the industry have to say about Salil Parekh, we have Nandan Nilekani. He says that he has a strong track record in execution, business turnaround, and of course he has also been very successful in managing acquisitions. We also have R. Chandrasekhar, the president of NASSCOM. He says that he has multinational experience and global exposure, and he brings curtains down on various issues which rose during Sikka's period. Moving in terms of some analysts as well, we have Sudhin Apte of Offshore Insights, who suggests that it's good to get someone from the outside, and he's very senior and close to clients. He's a good fit for experience and, of course, from the perspective of profitability. And he's also pleased that this matter has not been delayed any further. In terms of challenges that Salil Parekh will face, will of course be growth, because as we all know that Infosys has cut its guidance down for FY18, but not just for FY18, FY19 going in as well. Better growth than the industry, and he also needs to bring back organizational stability. Of course, quicker adaptations to clients' needs in terms of transformation and digitalization, and he will also need to reinstate confidence in not only clients but also employees, and of course he needs to share a good rapport with the shareholder founders. So these are some of those challenges that Salil Parekh may face in his term as the CEO and MD of Infosys.
Well, big expectations there, Agam. But let's move on now to the stocks in news. Nikki already told you about the stock of the day, but she has an entire list for you to watch for. Nikki?
The going has been good for auto companies for the month of December. 3 companies which have come out with numbers of their December numbers post the market hours. TVS Motors, that's a good show. We are looking at a 39% growth out there, led by the buoyancy that we've seen in the two-wheeler demand. SML Isuzu, that's something, the sales have come down at almost 5% in the month of December. Royal Enfield also has a good show. It's a 17% uptick that we're looking in the domestic sales number for this company. Other in the list, we have Coal India. There again, the production has missed the target yet again for the month of December. The output stands at 5.46 million ton as against 5.88 crore that we've seen in the corresponding month of the previous year. However, in terms of the offtake, it's a modest growth there. 7.6% is the number that we're looking at for this 9-month period, which stands at 421.42 million ton as compared to a number of 391 million ton. Other in the list, we have PFC. Now, the company in consortium with your REC and SBI has decided to lend an assistance of around 11,000 odd crore to Neyveli, Uttar Pradesh project. Now, this project is estimated to come at a cost of around 18,000 odd crore, and 70-30 will be the mix in terms of debt to equity of this project. Other in the list, we have this Counter Prestige Estate. Now, the company has bought in capital land stake in various entities for the sum of around 342 2 odd crore. This acquisition is expected to help strengthen the mall portfolio across the India and also increase the rental income for the company by at least a good 75 crore on annual basis. Next in the list we have Thermax. There's a small order win coming in to the tune of 327 odd crore for co-generation of power plant. And last in our list we are looking at a Mint exclusive report which says ITC and JK Paper could be a potential suitor for Sirpur Paper, which is an insolvent company and undergoing NCLT proceedings. Now other companies such as West Coast and Kohinoor Group have also submitted their expression of interest for acquisition of the stress asset, and the bids for this, the last date for submitting the interest was back in the 3rd week of December.
Thank you for that. Let's move on to some international news now. And in his first tweet of the year, Donald Trump appeared to suggest that the US would cut off foreign aid to Pakistan. He said, and I quote, "The United States has foolishly given Pakistan more than $33 billion in aid over the last 15 years, and they have given us nothing but lies and deceit, thinking of our leaders as fools. They gave safe havens to the terrorists we hunt in Afghanistan with little help. No more," unquote. This is the strongest warning from Trump to Pakistan so far. It comes 5 months after Trump called for tougher measures against Pakistan in his new South Asia policy. The Modi government has set itself an ambitious target of building 1 crore rural houses in 3 years under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. The plan is to complete 51 lakh houses over the next 4 months. Purva Chitnis travelled to a village in Maharashtra to report on the implementation.
Has given hope to citizens living in Kacha houses. All such citizens have been assured a concrete house under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin. The centre has an ambitious target of building 51 lakh houses by March next year. So we decided to take a trip to one such village in Maharashtra to find out if the houses are even near completion.
The Borgaon village in Khalapur has 103 of the 576 households in the district that are part of the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. But only 30 beneficiaries have received installments for building their homes. Of these, just half have been completed.
पहिलं कुडाचं होतं असं मेढे उभी करून आणि नंतर मग हे
कपडा होता कोडा मेढेचा
किती महिन्यात बांधलं तुम्ही हे घर?
2-3 महिने लागले.
The others are either in the process of completing their new home or still waiting for the funds to come in.
मेरे को पहला तो फाउंडेशन का अभी पहला 30,000 तो मिला और बाद में वो बांधकाम चालू किया ना तभी मेरे को 60,000 मिला मतलब 90,000 हो गया.
दिलेल्या पैशांमध्ये होणारच नाही तसं. मॅडम इकडे पाण्याची पण टंचाई आमची खूप. पाणी विकत आणायला लागतो, टँकर आणायला लागतो. आम्हाला थोडेफार 20-30 हजार पदरचे पण खर्चावे लागतील. पाईप, पत्रा, प्लास्टर.
अच्छा, मग 1,20,000 मध्ये नाही होणार.
Under the scheme, every beneficiary gets 1.2 lakh rupees to build a house. There's also an additional 18,000 rupees as part of the Manrega scheme. That's topped up with a 12,000 rupee bonus for a toilet. All in all, that's 1.5 lakh rupees for a new home. And though the houses come with the promise of electricity, water is hard to come by.
इन घरों में हमें टॉयलेट देते हैं पहले और इसके बाद इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का कनेक्शन देते हैं. वो मिनिमम कनेक्शन रहता है, उसका चार्ज भी मिनिमम रहता है. वो मिनिमम कनेक्शन देके हम उसको इलेक्ट्रिसिटी प्रोवाइड करते हैं. उसको इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का कनेक्शन प्रोवाइड करते हैं. उसके बाद जो बिल आएगा वो बेनिफिशियरी ने खुद भरना पड़ता है.
पिण्याच्या पाण्याचं
बावडीतून आणतो इकडे खाली.
अच्छा, असं काही नळ वगैरे असं दिलं नाहीये?
नाही दिलं.
With a scheme that promises so much, everyone wants a piece. But not everyone makes the cut. So what's the eligibility criteria?
2010-11 में जो सर्वेक्षण हुआ था गवर्नमेंट का, दारिद्र्य रेखा का सर्वे है, उसमें से जो इनका जो मकान कच्चा हुआ है उनकी जो लिस्ट आती है गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से, वो लिस्ट में से हमको उसको प्रायोरिटी दे के उनका क्रम लगाते हैं. वो ग्राम सभा लेके उनमें उनका निवड किया जाता है.
ग्राम सभा सिलेक्ट करने के बाद हमारा जो ग्राम से सिलेक्ट की यादी हमारे पास आती है, हमारे जो सुपरवाइजर हैं वो गाँव में जाते हैं और वही लाभार्थी हैं क्या उसका हम फ़ोटो लेते हैं। जो जिस जगह पे रहते हैं उसका कच्चा घर है या बेघर है उसको, और जिस जगह पे वो घरकुल बांध रहे हैं उसका जगह का हम फ़ोटो लेते हैं और उसके बाद प्रोसेस करते हैं सब कुछ। उसका पहले रजिस्ट्रेशन करते हैं, उसका अकाउंट खोलते हैं और खोलने के बाद उसको हम सैंक्शन दे देते हैं।
But the villagers are not impressed. They feel let down.
हे घराचं काय तुम्हाला काय सांगितलंय, कधीपर्यंत नाव आहे यादीत, कसं आहे?
नाही नाव, मुलांचं 2 मुलं आहेत, नाही नाव.
Only time will tell if the government meets its own target. But like most centrally sponsored schemes, there are some who have availed the benefits and are leading a better life, while others are still scrambling to get their names on the list. This is Purva Chitnis reporting from Borgaon village in Maharashtra.
Now, here are a few stories that you should consider reading on the website bloombergquint.com. First up, India is adding the least amount of coal-fired power in more than a decade. That's as indebted state retailers fail to utilize the nation's existing generation capacity. The death toll in Iran has increased. Protesters that have been protesting over the last 5 days have continued to do so, and security forces have clashed with them. They've essentially been rallying in a rare show of displeasure with the country's leaders. Well, that's a wrap on this edition of Daybreak, but all you need to know is up next. Do stay tuned. This is Bloomberg Quint.